Last we left off, just to give you guys a little backstory, the party had completed a large venture in saving the nearby city of Iman, one of the central capitals of this human civilization of Tal'Dorei. They managed to halt a demonic insurrection within the throne, and as such were greeted to a hero's celebration and had a keep built in their honor. Over the 6-month period of the keep being constructed, they went about their own ways and then returned to see its final creation. However, they did not have a chance to really enjoy it immediately, as one of their good friends and allies, Arcanist Alora Vysoren of the Tal'Dorei Council, came to them requesting the aid, saying that a longtime friend of hers, Lady Kima of Ord, who is a very well-known and very well-respected halfling paladin of Bahamut, the Platinum Dragon, had been gone on pilgrimage for a while, essentially a vision quest that is part of her own development as a paladin. As part of this, she let the information go to Alora that a dark vision had come to her, saying that some sort of evil root was beginning to breed beneath Craghammer in the mountains within. Craghammer, of which is the nearby dwarven civilization that you guys have previously not been allowed entry to, because the dwarves weren't fans of nobody without any political means of entry. Right. However, she managed to acquire the necessary documentation, offered you a very substantial reward should you find the whereabouts of Lady Kima of Vord, and hopefully bring her back safely. You left. On the pathway to the dwarven citadel of Craghammer, you were ambushed by a group of roaming barbarian Goliaths, of which, partway through the battle, Grog managed to recognize one of them as a previous ally, and no longer ally at this time.
Son of a bitch.
Yep, the barbarian, for this first and only time so far, managed to avert battle through his social encounter and rolled pretty damn well on a persuasion check. So you got one. You get one.
That one.
You got your one. No, never again.
Next time he dies.
Yeah, essentially. But you managed to not turn it into complete bloodshed, and you continued on your way to Craghammer, presented your paperwork, were given entry into the city, and that is where we begin this adventure.
No. In the city of Craghammer.
The city of Craghammer.
Wow, it's fantastic.
Welcome to Wildmount. The year is 835 PD, or post-Divergence.
Oh my god.
This continent is divided both by jagged terrain and political powers. The Menagerie Coast, a collection of city-states united under the Clovis Concord, monopolizes the southwestern shores and ports of Wildmount, thriving on open trade and cultural freedom. Beyond the Sirius Mountains lies the massive region known as Wynandir, bisected by the Ashkeeper Peaks. Eastern Wynandir houses the expansive wastes and turbulent badlands of Xhorhas, overrun with all manner of beasts and terrors, relics from the final battles of the Calamity that ruined that scarred landscape. Northward, you would find the Graying Wildlands, a lawless realm harboring a curse that has kept it unconquered by human hands. However, this story begins in the territory of Western Wynandir, within the boundaries of the Dwendalian Empire. Emerging 13 generations before, the Dwendalian Empire has slowly spread to encompass the surrounding societies of the region, absorbing the peoples of the Zemni Fields and the Marrow Valley, before finally conquering the Julis Dominion and taking the whole of Western Wynandir for the Empire.
There will be no test.
No. This is... let me continue. Under the rule of the current King Bertrand Dwendal, now in his 68th year, most are left to their own devices. You live as you did before. The crown only takes a tithe of what you produce and earn. You follow its laws, worship its gods, and bow to its installed local leadership. In return, denizens of the Empire are protected from the chaotic horrors and shattered evils that stalk the edges of the civilized lands. This accord has led to a prosperous century for the Empire, or at least the political elite. Tensions brew beneath the chafing watch of the Crown's Guard. Every temple is government-owned and run, and worship outside the approved idolatry is met with imprisonment. Rumors of military clashes at the eastern border near Xhorhas have many common folk on edge. Our story, however, begins much smaller. Here in the southern reaches of the Marrow Valley, beyond the entry gates of the Wuyun Gorge, lies the small, rural town of Trostenwald. bordering the blue waters of the Ustalok, this town came to prominence near the turn of this recent century, when the surrounding fertile farmlands were discovered to produce a unique type of grain and wheat, leading to a boom of breweries. When the glut subsided, 3 large families stood triumphant in the local business of fermented delights. Now Trostenwald thrives on their exports of fish, crops, and ale. Here in this sleepy trade stop along the Amber Road, a handful of wandering destinies slowly begin to intersect. We begin in the early hours of the morning on the day of Grisson, in a messy room on the 2nd floor of the Nestled Nook Inn. A bleary-eyed, bruised man in a tattered coat slowly wakens from his lengthy sleep, catching his small, snoring ally curled at the foot of the bed. I would like to welcome you to Marquette. The year is 843 PD, or post-Divergence. A landmass once marred by a vengeful god during the Calamity. The staggeringly twisted mountain ranges created in its wake divided the regions that have now developed into a varied and beautiful continent. The epicenter of this ancient destruction created the Rumadam Desert, a vast expanse of sand dunes and rocky landmarks that encompasses nearly a third of Marquette. Dotted with oasis townships surrounding the central city of Ankarel, known as the Jewel of Hope. Here, the long-living ruler Jamansa Ord and their Hands of Ord keep the peace and prosperity of their people protected. Beyond the Rumadam Desert and its sister desert, the Penegriff Sands, to the south, lies the gloomed jungles of Ayeshenador, a shaded territory of treacherous wilderness and careful guard by the historically orcish erudite society of Eos. Here, many skilled dreamers seek the Marquesian peak of collegiate study and social influence within the political powerhouse of its ruling council, the Court of the Lambent Path. To the southwest, a towering range of mountain spires climb into the clouds known as the Talland Highlands, where massive shelves and plateaus scattered among the peaks are home to elevated valleys abundant with agriculture and rural life, before reaching to the apex, where the military might of the region is held by the Stratos throne. Near the center of this continent, the rugged badlands known as the Hellcatch Valley acts as the roadway nexus between the cage-like mountain ranges of Marquette, where numerous independent villages and cities survive among the harsh, dusty canyons and compete for dominance. The history of Marquette is filled with vibrant culture, incredible discoveries, political intrigue, and inter-region warfare that recently culminated 2 decades back in a years-long conflict known as the Apex War between the Stratos throne and the Court of the Lambent Path that left both sides exhausted, expended, and without victory. This truce has continued to this day as both factions continue the slow work to rebuild their societies to their former glory. Our story, however, begins to the northwest of the Hellcatch Valley, within the natural boundaries of the Serpentwine Peaks, where the lush jungle valley of the Odiran Wilds thrums with life and mystery. Here among the vines and mists that choke the uncarved paths of the rainforest, howling beasts in long dormant shadows are rumored to hide among the lost relics of ancient days. Here, the dense jungle canopy is home to numerous towns along the honored trails, where travelers and traders trudge through the dangerous wilds to seek their fortunes. Here, from the central jungle floor rises 5 tower-like mountains that reach for the heavens, where upon their rocky exterior, numerous streets and urban districts have been carved into them to form a singular city connected by bridge and cable. These spires glow with the thousands of lights and lanterns that mark the Odiran Wild's capital city of Drusar, home to the Chande Quorum that oversees and controls the larger populace of the region. The spiraling streets bustle with life and chatter beneath the cloud-dappled blue sky, where the innumerable birds fly among the Simurgh riders that keep watch. Here, in Drusar.
Liam, someone you love very much is about to die. Could you please introduce us to your character?
Older, dark-haired with streaks of white, orc gentleman, dressed in fairly fine but not ostentatious clothing. And has smile lines at the eyes from a life well lived. Trying in this moment to hold on to the spirit that has buoyed him through his life. Maybe not doing as well as he'd like to in this moment.
This moment, you stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of the city of Dolmakyar. Its gray stone standing proud here at the eastern edge of the land known as Kahad. You stand under the Guardian Wall. Heroes of the Shaper's War, carved in statue, some 80 feet tall, their torsos emerging from masonry, from the rock and stone of the mountainside, lean and hold the mountains of Kavroset Bay. These statues arrayed side by side, orcs and dwarves, elves and humans, halflings, gnomes, beast folk, rendered here as heroes of a revolution, now fading from memory. Their looks of determination, heroism, and strength carved forevermore into their faces. What hope they bear in their noble visages. Under their arms stands the base of this massive wall at the eastern edge of the city. Dolmakyar, towering spires that follow the river Vrosh step by step down from the mountains as the city comes to life. Over your own neighborhood, you see a flight of magpies, black wings, white breasts take to the sky, flying over the stream as the mist rises on this gray day. The days have been mostly gray recently. The Guardian Wall, like much of Dolmakyar, is a place dedicated to heroism, camaraderie, the struggle of the mortal world to make a brighter day. And it is here, under the Guardian Wall, that they have strung up the hangman's noose to kill your brother, Thiazi Fang. Behind the wall, a wagon approaches. Soldiers, their heraldry and tabards alive with the crests of the sundered houses, Taconis, Helovar, Royce, Einfasen, Cormoré. March. You would think some beast of legend was left within this wagon, barred with iron as it is, for the amount of soldiers marching this man to the gallows. But it is just one man. The wagon pulls up to a small dais, wooden staircase, and a door leading through the wall out to the awaiting crowd and the hangman's noose. Waiting at the steps, his eyes on the approaching wagon.
We begin where it all started, a world of myth and legend, Exandria, Tal'Dorei, and the most exciting city in the world, Iman. It's 6 a.m. in a place colloquially known as the upper slums. The first weak rays of light are trapped behind heavy pewter clouds threatening rain. And a chill wind carries the salty bite of the Osmint Sea all the way up to the townhouse, where some of you may be. But let's find out.
Fire. Everything feels slow. There's movement and there's heat, but the only noise you can hear, despite all this chaos, is breath. It's yours, but it's also a stranger's. It's like someone else is using your body to breathe. You're stumbling. Luis, I need you to describe your character and tell us your character's name, but I would love for you to do that with the understanding that your mouth is filled with blood. Light. Light suffusing all. Eternal, undying, infinite. Names beyond counting does this place have in the timeless time in which it existed. But in your tongue, Exandrian, let us simply call it Tengar, the Eternal Palace. Behold endless ramparts and hallways of spinning stars, a nebula so vast that light would age 1,000 lifetimes of its origin to cross from the threshold to the ending of this palace. Let us imagine beings of infinite possibility and endless wonder, populating the vast and joyous caverns, chambers, hallways, ramparts, all of the chapels and unending mystery that this eternal palace has to offer those that have always dwelt herein. Shimmering light, beings of wonder, whose potential, having never touched the real, is limitless. Within this place, we must describe for you, in words that mortals can comprehend, what you have come now to witness. In Tengar, the Eternal Palace, past the hallway of the unbroken shard, where one can spy the quill of infinites, that which writes those worlds that have yet never been, we see a small parade of twinkling lights. These lights that we now behold are, to us, inhuman. But of course, this realm has never known the touch of humans. Hope is a dangerous thing, cruel and painful. You behold on obsidian walls, overlooking the fortress prison of Rybad Cole, your leader, Asmog, a vampiric hobgoblin, dressed in black armor, who holds a writhing hobgoblin elder by the throat, lifting him up off the ground. The Sundering Lord, ruler of the Steel Keep, this is the commander of the garrison of the prison, which all of you will know from this day to your last. Hope, that which corrodes the soul and weakens the spirit, that sharpest and most painful barb. It can drive you to madness if you let it. No, for you, my pets, I do not wish this. Under his hand, you see, writhing, the elder that is held aloft, silver streaks in his hair. He wears the clothes of a prisoner, the one who is held aloft, as Asmog raises him ever higher. The Sundering Lord looks at all of you. If pain is what you feel, then it is the comfort of despair you must seek. Surrendering hope is the only balm you will ever know. Some would tell you otherwise. They are fools. Assembled beneath him, filling the square of the central plaza of Rybad Cole under a red ash-choked sky, you see 1,000 prisoners on their knees, shackled. Surrounding them, armored fire giants, row upon row of human, half-orc, hobgoblin. You see that there are numerous demons populating the walls, chattering in glee and laughter as they look down at this public display of power. For those who require assistance, ridding themselves of that most painful substance, allow me to inform you, despite the ministrations of the rebellious in nature, when next the red moon touches the western sky, we will march to glory and the final defeat of the Prime Deities for the Strife Emperor! Ho, ho, ho. The armies assembled on the walls chant in unison. Massive drums, each 40 feet tall, with hobgoblin drummers standing beside them, massive batons in their hands. You look out. Word has just reached the Steel Keep. The Allhammer is dead! Ah! Cheer arises. The Platinum Dragon devoured! And of course, the Moonweaver has just met her final end. But what of your divinity? And here he turns to face the hobgoblin, still choking under his supernaturally strong grip. The Changebringer. That mistress of good fortune. Do you see good fortune before you hear? He drops the hobgoblin to the wall. The hobgoblin elder, a secret worshiper of the Changebringer, raises his head. She has not seemed to save you here. Speak. Do you repent, knowing that your ultimate defeat is soon at hand? You see the hobgoblin look and whisper, I do not. No? You see Asmog lifts a hand out under the open sun, because even as a vampire, the sun has not shone here in 100 years. Perhaps he has no need of rest. He raises his fingers to snap them, and below you see there is a small family of hobgoblin prisoners looking up, and you see that behind them a group of soldiers draws their weapon to level them at their face. The elder, a thin leather cord that has had his holy symbol ripped off of it, looks down. I repent. Please don't hurt them. Please don't hurt them. What's that? Speak louder, that the other prisoners might hear. I repent. Change is not coming. The Changebringer cannot save us. Listen to what they say. I'm sorry. I repent. I have wasted my life in worship to her. I do not believe. Persuasive words. I'm glad that you at last have seen the truth before the lie of hope could destroy you. The Strife Emperor still does demand punishment, though. Asmog reaches a clawed hand into the stomach of the Hobgoblin Elder, up through the chest, through the neck, grabs the mouth and skull of this elder from within, and wrenches the head into the chest cavity of the body, arm covered in viscera as he sloughs him off, and he falls 150 feet to splatter in the court before you. Asmog smiles, licks the blood off his fingers, turns to a lieutenant, massive human enforcer, thick cast iron armor, who nods, turns back and goes, "What are you waiting for? Back to work, you slugs!" The drums beat, and the prisoners are yanked through chains. Back to work. This is Calamity and the terrible work of the betrayers.
Pudding.
Yes!
Bonbons, fizzy sodas, and all the goat dogs you could dream of await you at the Wildling Advancement Feast. The Daintyfoot class, the lowest rank at this camp, is graduating up one level to become 3 belows. The mood is festive. It's a beautiful sunny day at the end of the month of Sindastar. I looked it up. And campers are abuzz as they proudly show off their merit badges and stand alongside cabin mates, ready to hear a speech from camp director Veth Branato. Except the 4 of you.